Studying is tough. Studying is grueling. It's rough. There's a lot, that goes on in getting a degree, in getting a qualification. But I think a question that a lot of us ask ourselves, and a lot of us sort of ponder and sort of think about is, should I go on and do my honors, go on and do my masters as well? Or should I just go straight into work after getting my degree, start looking for a job? So I think I wanted to just help you out with that sort of dilemma there and just help you reach the best possible decision. So I think in deciding whether to study, further or to just go ahead and try look for a job and just leave studying, there's so many different things that we need to consider, that we need to think about, that we need to sort of weigh. And I think it's all about trying to reach the best decision possible, having as much data as possible. I think that's the best way to make a decision. So I'm going to list a few things, obviously, for you to just consider, for you to think about, for you to just have in the back of your mind. But know that there's a lot more stuff that I could have spoken about, a lot more stuff that, obviously should be considered. I'm just going to touch base with the topic and just give you a few here to think about. And I think one of the first things you need to consider is your prospects at getting a job. I think one of the biggest reasons we come to university, we come to get a university degree, university education, whichever institution you're in, is to improve our chances in actually getting a job, getting employment later on in life. So it's important to always just have that understanding, insight, and sort of let that help you sort of guide whether you carry on and study or whether you sort of go into the sort of employment field. But I think one thing you should know is it is insanely competitive out there when you're looking for a job. I think the labor market is quite imbalanced in the sense that there are so many people looking for a job, but there are not as many companies who are looking to hire. And obviously it depends on how the economy is doing at certain periods of time. But I think especially just bringing it here to South Africa, the unemployment rate is insanely high and it is extremely difficult to get a job. I think even internationally as well, it's not the easiest thing to get a job, especially just leaving university, college or varsity, whatever sort of institution you're in. It really isn't easy. So the key during your varsity days or during sort of your youth is building up as much sort of experience, building as much, sort of beefing up your CV as much as possible. And I think studying further is always a bit of an advantage in the sense that you look better to employers, you look better to, prospective people who are looking to hire candidates who maybe just came out of university, such as graduate programs or just any other form of employment. You always look better the more sort of qualifications you have, the more degrees you have. But, and this is a big but, this is also really dependent on your specific industry, your specific field. Some fields sort of may be looking for masters in order for you to sort of secure that job. Others may just be okay with your degree. It's really dependent. So it falls down to you as well to just gain a bit of understanding of your industry, understand your sort of career path, understand those requirements that is required of you in order for you to sort of improve your prospects at getting a job, at getting employment, and sort of improving those chances at you breaking into your career. So yes, a bit of work is sort of required from you just to gain that bit of understanding, guys. And I think even just sort of getting involved in LinkedIn, and this is something that I preach quite often, but getting involved in LinkedIn and connecting with people and maybe just sort of connecting or following people who are in your industry or where you want to be to better understand what that industry is about. And even just going on sort of jobs, looking at job requirements and seeing what those require from candidates, whether they need postgraduates, whether they just need undergraduates. And just getting that insight will also help you better make that decision, and of course help you meet those requirements, and of course sort of separate yourself from other candidates. Another consideration, of course, is how do you feel about the subject matter that you study, the stuff that you're actually doing, you're getting involved with. I mean, do you have a very strong, hard passion? Do you deeply enjoy what you studied? In your undergraduate, maybe you did an honors as well. Because I think, of course, in life, we should let our passions guide us. Obviously, being a bit realistic as well. But if you feel you're passionate about a certain area, or you want to learn more about a certain area, then it's also okay to just continue studying for this reason, to further equip yourself and sort of build that further understanding, and even just hone in on your passion within that specific field or industry you're in, because you want to sort of open as many doors as possible for yourself, as many choices, so that you're able to sort of commit yourself to an area where you feel most comfortable, and I think where you have the most passion. So this is definitely another consideration that you need to make. I know, for example, in my sort of own line, I obviously did accounting science, did the postgraduate diploma as well. But in the future, I do sort of have ambitions for doing an MBA, just because I definitely have some form of passion and a big liking for business, for even just entrepreneurship and business models, stuff like that. That really interests me. It's a very big area for me. So I think that sort of interest definitely guides me a lot in wanting to pursue and go forth into my Masters of Business Administration. So I think you need to sort of make that assessment for yourself and understand that within yourself, sort of where your passions lie, and just pushing forth through those passions, and maybe you'll find sort of deeper passions as you study further. But I think now a closing point in making these considerations as to whether you should study forward or not is, of course, funding. I think funding is a big reality for a lot of us. Funding is a genuine thing, and I know a lot of sort of scholarships, or even at times bursaries. I think NSFAS does as well. But a lot of these funding schemes fund undergraduate degrees, but not all of them fund postgraduate degrees. And just to clarify it here, an undergraduate is the sort of first degree that you get, which is usually multiple years, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, depending on which undergraduate. Then you have postgrad degrees. These are your honors, your masters, your postgrad diplomas. Those all fall into postgrad. So it's important to sort of have an understanding. If you are self-funded, are your parents or whoever's funding you able to continue funding you into doing postgraduate? Do you have that opportunity? And maybe if you're using a bursary, or you're using an external funding party, a scholarship, whatever it is, there's a lot of things to think about there as well. Do they fund you further? Perhaps, for example, in my experience, I was funded by a company, and it's where I'm working now, and they essentially, it was a requirement for me to do my postgrad diploma, because it's the CA stream, and the CA stream, you do the postgrad diploma. You have to do it in order to be a CA here in South Africa. So now you need to understand within your bursary, within your funding scheme, do you need to do a specific postgrad, or are you able to go on further? Will they fund you? What are the clauses there? What is maybe the work back period? How many years do you have to work back? These are all considerations that you need to make to sort of obviously just come to a better decision as to whether you should do honors or you shouldn't do honors. It's a mixture of both, just analyzing for yourself what your interests are, obviously being a bit realistic in terms of your funding, and of course as well job prospects. But I always say, I think sort of studying further and in the right direction will always do you a world of good, because there's a lot they can take away from you in this world, theoretically, but one of the only things that they can never take away from you is the education. Is your education, is what you've learned and the things that you've achieved with that education. So I think education is definitely quite important. Obviously, university or varsity is not the only way to be educated, but I think it's quite structured, quite robust, and sort of equips you for that, the world of work. But as I said, there are many other ways to get skills, to upskill yourself, and to sort of maybe help you move in the direction that you want to move in. So you're not limited to just studying further. And I just thought, let me just give you all these things to think about, and let me give you all these sort of areas that you can also look at, that you can sort of better understand for yourself in order to make a better decision. So I hope this is giving you a bit of perspective. This is giving you a bit of better understanding, and will maybe just help you out, even if maybe you're just thinking about this really early, you're in like second year or third year or whatever, and it's already good for you to start thinking about these things and just ascertain for yourself whether you will be pushing forward to honors, whether you won't be, because if you will, obviously a lot more work will be needed to just meet those requirements. So yeah guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do leave a like on the channel if you have. Please subscribe as well if you haven't subscribed, and until the next one, let's continue on our journey in creating a better world.